Good morning, everybody. So today I am making an Xbox X unboxing video. But before I do that, I want to tell you a quick story. So I pre-ordered the Xbox X, I think on the second wave. I didn't pre-order the Scorpio edition. I just got the regular, plain Jane edition. So I assumed that I would be able to walk into Best Buy this morning when they open and they would have it, because everyone that pre-ordered it last night and that had all the store openings and the launch events, they all had them last night. I went to the Microsoft store. If you ordered it from there, you were able to pick it up from there last night. So I just assumed. Well, I walked in, I got in the line. I was the first in line to the pickup, and the guy said, "Yeah, what are you here for?" I said, "An Xbox X." And he said, "Do you order a Scorpio edition?" I said, "I did not, just a regular one." And he looks at me, he's like, "You know what? We didn't get the shipment." Really? You got to be kidding me. No, we're the only store in the area that didn't get the shipment. I'm like, that's unbelievable. You got to be kidding me. Everybody's got these today. And he's like, "Well, I should be. I'm on the phone with UPS now. It should be maybe 4 hours." So he's like, "But I have a Scorpio edition if you want that." Yeah, I think I'll take that, please. Thank you very much. So I walked in looking for the regular, and I walked out with the Scorpio edition. You can't get these anywhere. I think they were sold out the day one that they came out. They're not making them anymore, and they're impossible to get unless somebody bought a bunch of them and is selling them for twice the price on eBay. I totally lucked out. So anyhow, this is my video on unboxing this Xbox. I had no expectations of getting one of these today. I thought they were totally gone. So I'm super psyched that I actually got my hands on one of these. I totally lucked out. So somebody was smiling down on me today. All right, so here we go. So the box, first of all, it looks pretty cool. I mean, it's the same kind of box. It's got the Project Scorpio on it, edition. It's got a serial number on the top. And that's really, from what I've seen, really the only differences in this. I'm going to go turn the camera down just a little bit so you guys can see this maybe better. All right. First thing I noticed when I picked this thing up is its weight. It's definitely much heavier than the standard Xbox or the Xbox One S. All right, so first things first, let's take a look at what this is. So this is just like the paperwork, Xbox Live Gold. It's got just some information on how to set it up. It's the setup guide, the stand. It's pretty simple. Plug it in, turn it on. Done. This is an Xbox Live Gold. This is a code. Oh, it's 14 free days. And then talks about the Game Pass. So nothing special, spectacular in here. This is kind of the getting started paperwork. Go ahead and set this aside, because we'll probably never need this. I've never used these 14. I've gotten these with every Xbox I bought, and I've never used them because I've always just had it. I wonder if I use it, if it just adds 14 days to my subscription. I think I'm going to have to try that out. All right, so let's see. What's next? So everything in here is in black. I don't know what the standard one looks like. If it's wrapped, I think the One S had like some white wrapping on it and some white boxing. But this is all black. So here's the base stand. I will end up using this because I do stand it vertical. So I'm going to set this aside. Just a standard box. Alright, so here are the cables and the controllers, power, regular just power cable. In fact, I'm probably just going to, it looks like it's the same power cable as my One S, so I might just pop that out and plug this one in. As far as the HDMI goes, so I'm doing 4K over my existing HDMI. But this says HDMI high speed. It's possible they may have shipped a higher quality, higher speed HDMI cable. I might end up swapping this out at some point, but I think just to kind of get it running, I'll just connect it with what I have. So I'll set these things aside as well. Now for the controller. Standard Duracell batteries, which is pretty good. You know, they don't give you those cheap generic brands. All right, so here's the controller. Here's the first difference. So it's all black. It's all black, and it's got this like matte finish on the controller. Let me see if I can't get a better focus on that. There we go. And it's got the Project Scorpio logo right here in the center, but it's all grayed out and it's all blackened, except for the Project Scorpio. So the feel of it, let me grab here's my 1S controller. It pretty much looks the same. I'm not noticing any differences in the layout. You know, the buttons aren't colored. The X, A, Y, and B buttons are not colored. As far as the way it feels pretty much the same. I'm not noticing any difference at all. I mean, the Xbox controllers are pretty comfortable. The bumpers. The tactile response of the buttons feels identical. I'm not noticing any difference. Maybe in the sticks a little bit, but that just probably is just from use. But for all intents and purposes, they look to be identical. There's no real difference. Same form factor, everything. I'm not seeing any difference. The triggers, the bumpers, the buttons. Obviously, the color's different. It's pretty cool. You know, it's a sleek design. They look like they went with a minimalist sort of approach. So let's go ahead and put these batteries in here. Battery configuration looks the same. The inputs look the same. Here's the true test, right? I've got this little keyboard that plugs into the controller, and this is pretty specific. Boom! Look at that. Fits perfect. Yeah. So this thing's exactly the same. They have a good design with this. I wouldn't imagine they were going to change it, but I wasn't certain. I hadn't heard anything. I didn't see anything specific. All right, so controller. We'll set this aside. What else we got in here? Anything extra? No, I think that's it. It's pretty minimalist. You know, when these first come out, they don't put a whole lot of stuff in with them, the bundles. They wait until the price comes down, manufacturing price comes down, and then they start throwing in a bunch of extra goodies. Oh, this thing's heavy. Alright, let's set this stuff aside. Alright, so this is the same sort of foam packaging. It's black. It's not gray like some of the other ones, or white. The little electrostatic bag is black. It looks like a ream of paper, actually. It's packaged exactly the same as a ream of paper, but way heavier. All right, so I like to keep all this stuff because I do end up selling these things, and I end up getting whatever the latest and greatest is. So I try to keep things together and try not to tear it apart. So I'll carefully pull this apart here, set that aside. All right. So here it is. So really, there is no difference to this other than the branding here. And there might be a special serial number on this. They're numbered. At least it was on the box. It might be. Oh yeah, here it is, right on the side. So there's a special serial number on here, and it's a little branded here. I don't know if the mat or the finish on this is a little different, because I've just seen the other ones in store. But here's what I'm going to do. I'm going to pull out my 1S just to give you some quick comparisons. One of the things I noticed immediately is on the 1S, you've got the ventilation system up on top. There's ventilation all over the place, but there's a big fan here. Let me see if I can't get the... I've forgotten how this bottom goes on here. Yeah, it clips, it slides one way or the other. I can't remember. Well, I'm not going to mess with it now. All right. So from a size perspective, the X is a little bit longer. It's just a tad bit longer. And I think when I first was looking into this, I thought it was supposed to be a tad bit smaller. Now, height-wise, it's just a hair shorter. So it's a little bit slimmer. The buttons and the placement of the drive is a little different. Okay? So on the 1S, you've got the drive right here, the drive slot. Here's the eject button. On the Scorpio, or on the X, the drive is right down here. And this is probably the eject button here. Let me go ahead and take this off because we won't need that. Let's see what else is different on the front. So you've got your sync button. There's a USB port by the power button on this side. So on the 1X, you got the USB port here by the power and the sync. There's an IR sensor there. Now the configuration on this one, on the 1S, is a little different. You got the sync, the IR, and the USB over here. So I don't know if that matters at all. I can tell you this. I will be standing this thing up on its side, and I have an external SSD drive connected via USB 3. And right now, this is standing on its side, so there's a cable that comes out here and the drive sits over here. If this connects up, yeah, so the USB now is on the bottom. So it might actually be a little bit cleaner from a external hard drive point of view. Now let's look at the back of it. Let's look at the ports on the back. So we have a standard Ethernet. It's got the optical. It's got IR out. It's got two USB 3 slots, HDMI out and HDMI in, and then power. It looks identical. The board looks identical on the back. The only thing, this actually has a Kensington lock slot on it, and I am not seeing that. Not that it matters to me at all. There's no one that's breaking in and taking this. And if they break into my house, I'm not going to have it locked down anyhow, so it doesn't really matter. But it's possible. No, I don't think there's a label with a serial number and everything on the back here that might be under here, but I don't feel it. It doesn't look like it. It might be somewhere else. I'm just not seeing it right now, but either way, it's irrelevant. All right, so let's go ahead and put the foot on the stand because that's what I will be doing. So it just has these two little notches in it, and on the bottom here, there you go. It's ready to be vertically mounted with the Project Scorpio ready to go. All right, so I just showed you the unboxing, what the Xbox looks like. Now I'm going to go hook it up, and we'll have my first impressions on it. I've got a number of games that are 4K, HDR, Xbox Enhanced ready, installed on my external drive. So it'll be interesting to see what happens when I just plug the drive in. I'm hoping it's just going to recognize the drive because it's already been formatted. It's got games installed, and it's going to say, hey, you got all these games installed after I get through the initial setup. So I'm going to take a quick pause right here, and I will be right back.